Hey everyone, it's Zach Clayton from Community Pay It Forward in the PACT podcasting channel. I'm here today. First off, let me apologize for everything. We've had a little bit of an emergency in the Clayton household that we had to take care of, so we're running a little bit late, but we are now live right here on Community Impact with two of my favorite people in the world. We've got Leslie Bradshaw and Sabrina Morris. How are you doing, my beautiful friends?
I'm good.
Well,
How are you?
We're doing better now. No
Awesome.
longer, no longer in the hospital. Hopefully, things are fixed for my fiance. So, fingers crossed, we got everything worked out. But ladies,
good.
we invited you here today for to Community Impact because we all know that there's a tragic situation going on in America where people are having to deal with senseless and unnecessary loss. We're not going to get into the we're not going to get into the reason for the loss, but loss is something that we as individuals have to deal with. We understand this. Let's be honest, we're all born, we're all going to leave this earth. We all know this, we all accept it. When someone's taken tragically, though, it's really hard for us to cope with this. I wanted to bring you both on this because you both have had your experiences with not only with loss, but talking other people through this loss, talking other people through what to do. We're going to get on to a lighter subject a little bit later on, so this isn't all gloom and doom today. But I think that this is a really important category for us to really bring up. Leslie, why don't we start with you? And the first thing I'd like you to do is can you please introduce yourself to everyone who's listening? Because you're one of our great partners and we love what you do and the support that you have for women, and we want to make sure people understand who you are. So please introduce yourself to everyone.
Okay, so first of all, thank you for having me, Zach.
Absolutely.
Hi, everyone. My name is Leslie. I am a personal empowerment coach, and I help you learn to love the life that you have right now while creating the life that you desire. So many of us think that happiness is at the next stop, so it's at a bigger house, a renovated kitchen, and a bigger car, a fancy vacation. And then we hustle and we burn ourselves out trying to get all these things. And we get there and we're still unhappy. And that's because we never took the time to find the peace and happiness within ourselves. Because you can't create happiness from frustration. You can only create happiness from happiness. So that's why I say I help you learn to love the life you have right now. It's okay, whatever you're going through. It may not, the circumstances right now may not be ideal, but you can find joy, you can find beauty, you can find life within yourself. And then from that space, start working on get it going towards your goals.
I love the fact that you said exactly what you said. I mean it looks, you don't have to be where you're at to be happy, or where you want
Mm-hmm.
to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Having a goal in life is something you should really need, because if you're just going to settle for where you're at, well, aren't you good enough? I mean,
Yeah.
so I think having that inspiration, that goal, I think is a great thing.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you for joining us again, Leslie, and we're going to ask for you to supply us with all of your contact information so we can make sure that we get people to you.
Of
Sabrina,
course.
my dear, why don't you give us a little bit about what you do? Because if I let you go at everything you do, we're going to be here for more than the hour.
Well, I second that, Leslie. Well said. I mean, you put it well. And thanks again, Zach, for having us both here. I enjoy doing the podcast with the two of you. I get excited. And Zach said, Sabrina, Leslie's going to be on. Would you join us? And I was like, so excited. So thanks again, Zach. I think a lot of times those who do all the work, they don't get enough gratitude and appreciation. So we do appreciate you, and I'm sure your audience do as well. And I say plural because I know you do multiple casts. So what right now, what Leslie said is really weighing on my heart because she's right. And I know Zach wanted me to go into my background a little bit, but we have to learn how to be grateful for what we have, even in spite of some of the challenges. And that's hard for me. I'm just going to keep it real, as I'm not going to perpetrate a fraud. It's not always easy to do that, and that's something I'm working on, and we'll talk about that a little later as well. My background, I come from corporate America. I used to solve problems for executives as a niche or specialty consultant, and I've transitioned from what we call the E quadrant or the employee quadrant, hitting the rat race, letting someone tell you when to go to the restroom, when to take vacation, and what to think in some cases. So I moved from the E quadrant over to the business as a quadrant and the I quadrant, which is additional ways to generate income. And I'll go into more of that later on another cast.
Well, again, Sabrina, you're also an author. You also help people maximize their talents by taking wonderful vacations. You are the epitome of a busy person. So we just greatly appreciate you taking a little bit of time out and talking to us about this. So Leslie and I were having a conversation yesterday, and this really came up, and I wanted to get you two together because in my dream scenario, I would like to see you two put together a show, and we can get you two on a show a couple times a month. I think that it would be something that would be very valuable to people. Hint, hint.
That would be fun.
So.
So obvious.
Yeah. I mean, I hope I kind of snuck that one in on you. But you two, every time that we have a show, when it's the three of us or somebody else added, I walk away feeling like we've accomplished something, and I think that that is something that is really important, and especially with this issue, ladies, we do have a terrible thing where we've got a lot of people who are taken from us in a senseless manner. This cannot be an easy thing. It's not an easy thing. Okay. I mean, whether it's a car accident, whether it's some other thing happens, when somebody just up and abruptly leaves this earth, that's hard on you. What what would be the first thing that you would tell somebody? Okay, you're going to grieve. How do we go about grieving properly so we're not throwing blame at everybody for everything? Because I think that this is one of the things that we're seeing right now, that there's a lot of rush to judgment on all parts, in which, you know what, that's going to happen. We understand that. But there needs to be something that we got to do this properly and make sure that, you know what, there was a life lost, and that's the most important thing. What can we do? And Leslie, let's start with you. What would be the best thing that you think we could do to make sure that we, for our own health, for our own sake, take that second, make sure we allow ourselves to go through the pain that we need to go through?
Oh, I mean, that's just it. Take that second, that minute, that hour, 15 minutes, however long you need, a week, 2 weeks. And like one thing that I do with my clients, especially when they're going through things, is to tell them to slow down and sit in your feelings. And what that means is literally sit. I mean, if you want to stand, you can stand, but sit down and focus only on the sensation. Where is it happening? Try to describe it. Write down everything that comes up when you're doing that. That is the first step to allowing yourself to just grieve, just feel the pain. Because what you're trying to do when you do that is you're trying to train yourself to realize that feeling uncomfortable sensations does not mean that something is wrong. It means that a circumstance happened and you're having a reaction to it because of your thoughts about the circumstance. And it's okay. So sit and feel your feelings. And when you first start doing it, you may think, okay, I can't describe it. I don't know. I can't really isolate it. It's okay. You just take your time, 10, 15 minutes at a time. Just sit. Your mind is going to want to be like, you should be doing something else. This is wasting time. Tell your mind, thank you for offering that. But right now, this is what I need to do for our general health.
Mm-hmm.
And sit and just focus on the feeling alone.
Mm-hmm.
Sabrina, what would you like to add to that?
That's good, Leslie, because there are many of us who can take a more rational approach and think, okay, I'm gonna. But there are some that may be similar to myself, where we just freak out.
Yeah.
Have that moment. If
Yeah.
you need to freak out from one side of the room to the other, I said keyword. I said a keyword here: moment. We're not gonna
Yes.
freak out for the rest of our lives. We're going to get through this. We're not going to, sit up, build a camp, and say, oh, poor me, this happened. I mean, I can tell you, watching my own sister, and I think we talked about this a little bit before on one of the other podcasts we did. Watching my own sister lose her child, my nephew, was one of the hardest things I ever did. I had to freak out. You can't be strong for everybody in the moment. Even though that's there, it's kind of like, well, this is not helpful, but there's ways that you can freak out. So I freaked out without my sister seeing, but she knows me well enough that I was freaking out. So you have to do what you have to do. Then on top of that, my mother would always say, memories. Focus on the good times you had together.
Mhm.
And a lot of times the enemy, and I call it the devil, what he is, will bring up bad things that happen. No, 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 no. Focus on the good things, because I guarantee you there were more good times you had with that person than bad. So focus on those good times. And when you're focusing on those good times, yes, you're going to cry.
Mhm.
And I said, do exactly what Leslie said while you're focused on. If you freak out, freak out. Do what you got to do. But come back to that rational state that Leslie's talking about. Get you a journal. Like she said, write down what you're feeling. Even if you can't describe it, start with that great memory and start writing it. Now I'm not saying you're not going to cry. You may freak out a little bit more and get back to the journal, but it's part of the healing process.
Mhm. Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think one of the most important things that both of you guys said there was it is okay to freak out. Look,
Mhm.
you just lost somebody. There's no way that you can look at it and just go, eh, well,
Eh,
it's done.
no, no way.
That's not human reaction. But if we focus too much on how the loss occurred, do we not endanger the ability to come back and remember the person themselves? Don't we run the risk of becoming more fixated on the action, on the loss itself, than focusing on the person? The focus needs to be on these people.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hmm. And I think the most important thing to remember is while you're freaking out, while you're crying, while you're going through feeling the emotions, is to not bully yourself, not keep telling yourself, I shouldn't be feeling this way. I should be stronger than this. I need to do this. No, something tragic has happened. It's okay. You're having a human experience. You're human. It's okay to freak out.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't even think this has to be. I mean, let's be honest here. This doesn't even have to be a tragic. I mean, this is good for loss in itself.
Yeah,
Sabrina,
absolutely.
I know that there's a every day of your life that you miss your mother. I lost my grandfather. I lost one of my grandfathers when I was 15 years old. I turned
Mhm.
50. I turned 51 this year. I miss that man every day. Every time I see his picture, I get a tear in my eye. But I remember the conversations. I remember, and Sabrina, your life is run by the memory of your mother, and it's such a wonderful story. These are things that if you allow it, if you allow the look, the thing that's going to happen. Death happens, folks. It just does. Loss happens. If you're going to allow that to happen, and if you do this correctly, those people aren't going to ever come back. But you know what? They're never going to go away either. Is that right?
Right. That's right. That's right. My mother would always say, I'll always be in her heart through those memories. So as long as you keep those memories, the positive memories, focus on the good. Because I know some of us, when we lose some of our family members or people that are close to us, they may not have been the best person for us in our life, but there's still good things that can come from that relationship, even if it's how not to treat other people, or even if it's, I'm going to be a better parent, or I'm going to do these things different, and these reasons are why. My mother would always say, you can learn from anyone, even if it's what not to do. So, Zach, you're right. As long as that person's still in your heart and you have the great memories that you share together. In fact, you could even so out of tragedy, I have a premise that out of every tragedy, there's a blessing, there's
Yeah.
victory if we look for it. There's a reason to celebrate if we look for it. My mother was mostly Native American, and so when she had transitioned, before she had transitioned, we always talked about going to the sand dunes. Well, we never did it. So when my mother transitioned, my brother, my friends, a couple of friends and I, we grabbed a van, a big car, and we drove up to the sand dunes. And so when we really missed my mother, we made the sand dune trip as a celebration of her memory. And when we were on that trip, I like to pull over and read the little road signs, even though we could Google and read. But it's just something about, oh, there's a sign, you know, do a UE in the middle of the street. I would recommend everybody doing that. For Sabrina, I'm sure Zach would do it too, because I can tell, right? But for those, oh, good, let's, yes. But for those of you who like to go on an adventure, we created going to the sand dunes as a way to celebrate my mother's memory. And when I read the little plaque that was there, that is like, I don't know how to articulate it really quick, but that is where many of the Native Americans went to engage with their loved ones who recently transitioned. And when I read that, I lost it again, guys. I started crying, and I had to pull it together because I needed to drive, right? So you could take this, in a nutshell, you can take this tragedy and turn it into a triumph. You have to be creative. You could even get with your closest family members to that person that had transitioned from this earth and say, what are we going to do to celebrate their life? What are we going to do to honor them? You can create a scholarship in their memory. This is kind of beyond a GoFundMe in the moment. This is something that's a reoccurring event that all of your family know. Oh, when I get my bonus this year, or when, I graduate college, I'm going to redonate to our family project, or so I'm asking each of you in your pain and some of your hardest times, while you're journaling, and it could come out while you're journaling. You may have to go back 3 months, 6 months, or a year to be able to read it and really understand what you wrote there, and say, what came out of that? What ideas do we have? And collaborate with your family. And I'm going to use that word one more time, because a lot of times when we're in pain, I don't remember some of the things I've said. So I have to trust the people around me that if they came and said, Sabrina, we're going to do such and such, such and such. Remember? I'm like, and not really because I was traumatized, but I trust the person that brought this to me. So if I am, I'm going to move forward with that. So work as a collaborative team. Try not to tear each other down through your pain because that can happen too. Because everybody in the room's hurting. So you may say some stuff you don't intend to say, and you're like, "Whoa, where did that come from?" Or you're happy that it came out. So try, try, and I hate the word try because it doesn't get anything done. So I'm going to rephrase that. Make it happen, guys. Love on each other through this time. Encourage each other through this time. Cry together if you have to, even if you have to hug each other and cry. But go through it. And on the other side of it, when you could be laying in bed at night, not even thinking about it. You go, I got an idea on how we're going to turn this tragedy into a triumph. It can come in many different ways.
One of the things, and Leslie, we know that you're having a little bit of difficulty with your internet, so we know that you might be popping in and out. But we're so glad that you're going to keep trying to come back because I really think this is important. What, how dangerous is it to make spot decisions uh, when something tragic happens? How dangerous is it when you make an instant this, look, this is how it happened. We need to react and react now. How dangerous can that be?
I mean, it can be just as tragic as a tragedy because we're not accessing your higher functioning at that point. You're pretty much very primal at that point because your emotions are running everything. You're running high on adrenaline, and the first thing that comes into your head because you're enraged or you're distraught or whatever emotion you're going through, it's not usually the best thing because it comes up trying to counteract what you're feeling right now.
Mm-hmm.
And usually, when you're feeling that level of pain, that distraughtness, that enragement, to counteract that, you go to an extreme yourself. And it usually is not a good extreme for anybody.
I love that. I love that term that it's your primal self that's doing the thinking right at that moment. It's not really you. Um, because that is true. It's not, it's emotion. It's pure, unadulterated emotion at that moment. It's not even, there's not even a lot of thought. And a lot of times, let's be honest, there's not a lot of logic behind it. You're just,
Yeah.
look, I'm so upset that this has happened that I'm going to give it about the 20 seconds of thought it took away this individual. And these are the, these are what I'm going to go with. But this is where it gets dangerous.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, um, ladies, we've all went through, we've all went through tragic loss. We've all went through unexpected loss. We've all went through loss that we even, was somewhere, we know it was coming, or we know, we knew it was, there was potential for it. What did you? Here's one of the questions. Why does this bring out some of the worst in, and especially with like families? I've seen families get completely and totally ripped apart by the loss of someone, and people become, again, primal, to where they go after each other like like, just, it's insanity.
Yeah.
Um, why does that happen?
I would say part of the reason that happens is because they don't know how to process their emotions well. So that whole letting yourself freak out, sitting with your emotions, journaling about what comes up, giving yourself grace by not telling yourself all the shoulds and all those things contribute to being able to process the emotions. And when we're dealing with loss, we're dealing with extra high intense emotions. So if you don't know how to process it, it comes back to like what I said before, you're going to try to counteract it any way you can. because all you want to do is stop feeling this way. And whatever comes up as an idea to stop feeling this way, everything is going to seem like it's a great idea to you. And that's where, you start blaming others because, okay, well, I can't control this. It's your fault that I can't control this. So let's throw blame on you. Let's start an argument with you. That's going to help me release what's going on. So that is where that will come from.
Sabrina, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I like listening to Leslie because I get
Oh, it's
different.
beautiful, isn't it? She's so
Yes,
sweet. Really
different
is.
things pop into my brain. And one thing I heard while you were talking, Leslie, that we have, and I say we, I mean everybody. I'm not pointing a finger. I mean everybody, and that's forgiveness. That is the hardest. That's a whole new level. And when you forgive, it helps you. It has nothing to do with the other person. They're going to be them irregardless. And I know some of us have some very challenging family members. And I think through those challenging family members, we have to
That's an
be
understatement.
so that we won't have another tragedy on our hands in the process. And so if you understand exactly what I'm saying, because we have family members that will take you there. They're like, we're already at the graveyard. We're already in the hearse. It'd be easy. We can just toss them right on in with the other, because they can be that. I'm having flashbacks of my own family members who remind me of that. So what we have to do is forgive. That's not easy. It doesn't say that what the other person did was right. It doesn't say that they got away with anything. It doesn't. No, this is about you. Forgiveness is about you. And you're already hurting. You're already going through a tragic event by losing a loved one. Then you have to throw forgiveness on top of it. That's a lot. Yes, Sabrina, I know I'm asking a lot, but this is about you healing you. Because I had to learn the hard way that my crazy family members are going to be crazy anyway. They don't care about what I think about them being crazy because they're crazy. It doesn't work right. Okay? Yeah. So what we have to do is forgive for ourselves so that we can go on. Now, I'm not saying set up a camp, hang out with them so you can have more conflict in your life. Choose. Because family, my brother said something very important. I don't even know why I'm staying on family. This is for somebody. So my brother said something very important to me. He said, Brina, my family calls him Brina. They say, Brina. He said, yeah, you deal with the family. Because my brother is like, I'm done. Okay, so that gives you guys some level of extreme that I'm, some understanding of what I'm talking about here. And so my brother said this. He said, sister, my boys are my family. They reach out and they care more about me than my own blood does. So I say that to say family is who you choose as well. Yes, we have family members who are blood or like us. Okay, yes. But we still have, we're going to forgive them, love on them from a distance, and love our family, those we choose. So I don't know why I went down that path. I have no idea why I went down that path. We do that here, right?
In the biker community, and we have a lot of brothers and sisters. Okay, we don't refer to each other as, hey, there's Logan. Logan's my brother. Theron, my brother. Rainia, my sister. They are our family. And it's not a joke. It's exactly what you just said. It is a family. I would step in front of them, in front of a bullet for them, just as I would one of my own blood brothers. And so family is wherever you create it. I think one of the things that you can do to make sure that you don't go after each other is remember, with all the quirks, with everything that individual that is upsetting you or that you want to go after, regardless of those quirks that they have, the individual that you've lost loved them too.
Right.
You have to remember that, because if you take the lost individual out of the equation, you're dealing with pure, unbridled emotion. And
Mhm.
it's just not a great place to make decisions from.
Yeah.
Education is important, no matter what, no matter what we're talking about. Educated decisions are, one, important, and two, at a, let's be honest, it's kind of at a rarity now, and people making educated choices. So um I know that we came on this, and we came on this because, right now you turn on the news every day and there's senseless loss every day. And we
Mhm.
don't want to get into the politics of, one side or the other. Look, we all have our thoughts. Every single one of us has our thoughts. It's the way that we were all growed up, and that's just who we are as people. Is there a solution that's perfect? There's not. There's not. There's one thing that you can do, and I would ask both of you guys to put your input in on this. We need to watch out for each other. We need to make sure that we are doing everything to be as cognizant as what's going on around us. Because look, there's no more hiding if you see somebody going a little loopy. Okay, if you see somebody having telltale signs that it's like, oh, they're just going through this thing, they're gonna snap out of it. You can't do that anymore. As difficult as it is, you've got to maintain a point of vigilance now that's more important than ever, because we have lost track of reality a lot. I think a lot of people have lost track of reality. And I'm not going to blame video games. I'm not going to blame all the other things that we do. I just think that a lot of people have given up any hope. And honestly, the newer generations are having a harder time realizing that, what, this is something that everybody has gone through. So there is life after teenager. You know, I mean, I remember when I was a teenager and nobody could tell me anything I didn't know. And now that, again, I'm in my 50s, now I know that I didn't know a damn. I wish I knew half of what I knew at 16. God, I wish I knew half as much as I knew at 16. But Sabrina, what would you say to people about, you know, let's start to think about this before we start to react? I mean, can you expand on what I was saying?
Yeah, that also starts with the level of maturity as well. A lot of us don't want to work on us. We think everybody else is the problem, but yet we are the common denominator in everything we go through. So we have to work on ourselves, and yeah, we have to. You're right. I mean, we just have to work on ourselves.
So, and Leslie,
Yeah, I mean, Sabrina is right. There has been such a stereotype for so long about, mental health and just self-help and anything like that, just to help yourself become a better person, because the expectation was always, yeah, you're okay, you're an adult now, you're just supposed to know. You're just supposed to know everything. And, just get on with it and deal with it. And that's not the case. You can't get on and deal with something that you've never been taught how to get on and deal with. This is why people turn to all the buffers that they do. You turn to alcoholism, you turn to sex, you turn to drugs, you turn to whatever it is, because all those things are just us trying to find a way to not feel uncomfortable feelings that no one taught us how to deal with in a healthy manner. So,
and pain is part of growth, correct?
absolutely, absolutely, 100%.
it's kind of one of those things that I've always told my sons that, look, you learn a hell of a lot more from losing than you do from winning, you
Yes.
know.
Yeah.
Um, but and so um, now, like I said, ladies, this was fantastic. I appreciate you guys dealing with this very tough subject. If you'll all excuse me for just 1 second here. My lovely fiance is now dealing with a headache, so we're trying to help her out. So, but or she's dealing with the pain. Um, but now let's go on ahead and once again, folks, we know that there's pain with loss. We understand that. All we're saying is we've got to really start making a thought before we make decisions on how to handle that way that the loss happened. Let's grow up, all right? Because you got to remember that your loved one, they didn't want the conflict. Okay, not even if they weren't old enough to know that it would cause a conflict, they didn't want that conflict. Okay, remember that loss doesn't mean goodbye. They're never going to be gone from your heart, never. um my dear friend John Bogle says about his son. He says that and he lost Bladen at 3 years old, and he turned his loss of Bladen into Martyred Angels. One of, as you guys well are aware of, he turned the loss of Bladen into Martyred Angels, which helps moms and dads and brothers and sisters recover from that loss, and it helps them through that loss to stay away from the alcohol and everything else. It's such a beautiful program, and like I said, he's one of my heroes. I couldn't imagine losing one of my children. Sabrina, you were talking about your niece and nephew. Children, the loss of a child is tragic, and it doesn't matter who it is. The loss of a child is tragic, but we know that this is a very, very heavy situation. We know that things are really tense right now, and we appreciate you taking a second to listen to us through this. Ladies, I appreciate you putting out the vulnerability in this, because I know this isn't one of those things that, oh, what do I want to do on Friday afternoon? Let's bring everybody down. Why the heck not? But, so now we're going to go on ahead and we're going to take and change this 180 degrees. Okay. I mean, really change the direction here. We are getting about the time where high school just ended for a lot of kids. College is coming up. You have a lot of people who are coming up and trying to decide, or you've been out of school for a while and you're deciding, you know what, maybe I want to go to school for something.
Mhm.
How did you two go about making an educated decision on what path to take? Because I know that the decision on, well, I want to go to school, I don't know what the hell I want to go to school for, but I want to go to school. How do you make an educated guess or educated decision to take and make the most out of, you know, getting your classes together and getting ready for school? Sabrina, let's start with you on this one.
So this is a good topic because so many students say, "Well, I don't know what I want to major in. I don't know what I want to minor in. I don't know what I want to do." That's okay. That is okay. That's exciting that you don't know. And I'm going to give you a couple of ideas to help you direct you toward making that decision on what you really want to study in school. So some of you may have, okay, so your first year, we have electives in college. For those who know what they want to do, don't listen to this part right now, okay? This is for those who are not sure. So I call this the opportunity to take electives, okay? And if you say, well, wait, Sabrina, I don't know anything. I don't even know what electives to take. Okay, let's back up off of that for a moment. So another thing you can do is start networking with a focus. Your focus is to talk to different people who have success. I'm going to clarify that, okay, because we were talking about those working on themselves. You want to use somebody that's working on themselves. They have good success based on the fruit. Don't listen to whatever people say. Focus on, do they have the right success that you're looking for in your life? Sit down with them. One thing you can do is buy them lunch and pick their brain. One thing I did at one point, I thought I wanted to manage hotels. So I scheduled a time with the CEO of a Hilton hotel. He was a regional manager for the whole Western area. Well, he was high up. Okay. Remember, I said you're going to reach up. So I went out, I talked to him. He told me about the day in the life, what he did, what he liked about his position, what he didn't like, because you're going to be spending a lot of time you're going to be studying the field, you're going to be learning about it. So start asking questions. You thought about being in engineering, but you're not quite sure. Start talking to different engineers. Engineers love to talk about what they do, even from a technical perspective. And if they start getting real technical and you get real curious, maybe you want to explore that a little bit more. So I'd say start there, start networking with a purpose, start asking, even if you could, show up for a day in a life of what that person does, because a lot of us are working from our home offices now. So you can be the fly on the wall, or why not attend a Zoom meeting as a guest and see what that looks like. So, and then feel free to comment below this posting as well to say, hey, Sabrina, I have some ideas. Do you have anyone? And I can go through my network and see who I can introduce you to, who would be open to the idea of you interviewing them from their skill sets. And I know a lot of different coaches as well. I know Leslie is a great resource as well.
Leslie, this is a great. This for me is, you're one of the best people to talk to, because this is a question where this is something you went through. Okay.
Yeah.
You were told that you needed to go somewhere else, and that's not what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
So you try to help people through this. So you are a perfect person for this. So
Absolutely.
let's talk about this a little.
Yeah, I mean, I had my goals. My dream was to become a flight attendant, air hostess, whatever they call them these days. But yeah, and I was told that, yeah, that's not an appropriate job. You can't do that. It makes no sense. You have to, and I come from a culture where it's, if you're not doing like something math or science kind of, you're not doing anything. There's a saying that you either become a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, or a disgrace. So I was a full disgrace.
Wow.
Right?
That's that's one of those that it's a right on statement, but that is harsh.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And guess what? My brother's an engineer. So,
Well, you got to always have somebody in the family, but
right. So, yeah. So, I was pretty much told you have to study something, but clearly I couldn't become what I wanted to become. So, engineering was not a thing for me. Math and science were never my strong suit. So, I was like, okay, happy accident, I guess. I'm like, okay, I'll just do psychology. I mean, and here I am now, so it kind of worked out.
well,
But
let
it
me
definitely was not something that I would have gone to.
well, I think that I mean, even though it may have been a happy accident, it was definitely a great accident. It was very beneficial for a lot of people, because you're very good at what you do, and
Thank
you're
you.
able to take and help out a lot of people. Um, Sabrina, like I said, one of the things that you said that I think that we need to expound on is, what, you're going into college, so you don't know what you're going to do. Have fun the first year. It's not all about
Yes.
you. Look, you cannot. I think one of the, and I'm going to use a hockey term, okay, here, because, well, I'm a hockey guy. You cannot win the championship on the first game, but you know, you can't lose the hockey championship on the first game either. Okay, the first game's the first game. Have a little bit of fun with it. Get in there, make sure you start to understand the school, make sure that you understand the programs, make sure you understand yourself. There's nothing, you're going to find yourself even accidentally sometimes by doing something sporadic and crazy, right, Leslie?
Yeah, absolutely. Like what I wanted to add is that, you may not know. Bye bye. Okay. Yeah, you may not know exactly what you want to get into, but start exploring. Like Sabrina said, what lights you up? Bye. What lights you up? What lights that fire in you? Like, I always talk about my friend who I call my muse. When she's talking about cooking and food and stuff like that, I would always see the light in her eye. It changed. Her whole aura changed from just speaking about it. So what is that thing that you always come back to? Like you think about it as an idea, and it's like, oh yeah, it might be fun to do this, and then you talk yourself out of it, and you say, okay, no, I need to be serious. What is that thing that you always come back to? That's a good place to start. How do you want to feel? And what are the things that bring up that feeling for you? That's also a good way to angle to attack it. Like, okay, you want to feel like empowered. Okay, what do you usually do that gets you that feeling? And then explore, okay, what careers around that can have me doing these things that get me that feeling. So I think that's also a good way to approach it.
Sabrina?
I like it. I like it because I would always say, I didn't talk a lot about some of the other things I did either, but I would always say, you know what, if I had it all over to do again, I would have been a professional dancer with the Alvin Ailey Company and then an engineer. You know, so I say that to say your heart's love may be an art, and a lot of people, like Leslie just said, oh, that's just a disgrace. You can't make any money. They don't know that. They do not know that at all. They may be mad because you have the courage to do
Hmm.
something that they didn't do because the
Yeah,
gift came from
yeah,
somewhere.
yeah.
So I'd say follow your heart. And let's say you say, okay, but I like both. I've danced with a lot of great engineers. Like, oh, you're an engineer. You're my favorite lead too. And that's a common theme. So you may want to do this. Do both. My mother would always say that. Do both. Take classes in both. Why not? It's where your heart's desire is.
Yep.
So, Doug, are you trying to tell us that you wanted to get into soccer? Is that what Yeah, hey, look, extracurricular activities again, something that college is a great place to. College is a great place to find this, to find yourself. I mean, look, let's be honest. When I was in trouble in high school, yes, I got trouble in high school. I know everybody put your tongues back in your mouths thinking that I would get in trouble at any point in time. But
Not
I made a mistake once when I went into something and somebody asked me what I wanted to do with my life. Well, I'm a kid, and I made the mistake of saying I wanted to manage a restaurant. What I meant was own. And of course, my parents, Leslie, were just appalled at that. They were appalled at that. Oh my God, our son is going to grow up to be the manager of some fast food restaurant. Which is not a bad career. That's not what I'm saying, but that's his aspiration. And so yeah, but I mean, look, one, you're allowed to change your mind. You're
Yeah.
allowed to change your mind.
Hmm.
uh, I would have never, ever, ever in my life thought that I was going to dedicate my adult life to, as much as I would have wanted to. I would have never thought I was going to dedicate my life to trying to help other people, and that's what I was going to do. Help small
Hmm.
businesses survive. I would have never said that as a kid. And let's be honest, I didn't even find this feasible until I was well into my 30s. Now, but I did, however, go to school, ironically, for radio because
Mm.
I love radio. I love books, like book on tape. I love sports talk. I love talk radio. I do. You know, it's one of the things. It's one of my favorite things in the world. So I do enjoy doing that. And now, all these years later, I'm fulfilling a promise to my grandfather. You build them, I'll talk on them. Well, it's not quite radio, but we're close. This is really kind of one of those things that, you know what, you don't have to jump into decisions right away. But let's, I know, Sabrina, you got a phone call to make here in a minute, and I was late. And once again, folks, I'm really sorry that that I was late getting here to you, but I appreciate you joining us. Doug, it's great to see you again, my great friend. I hope to talk to you soon. Leslie, let's close this out. When you're going to look for that first elective, what is the one thing you should tell somebody? Have this thought first.
I think the first thought you should have is that this isn't set in stone.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Sabrina?
I like it. I like it. And I'm going to say, don't allow anyone to steal your dreams. Because even though Zach's life worked out great because we're here today doing this podcast, but his parents didn't think, well, maybe Zach, even if it was a fast food restaurant, maybe Zach would own 10 McDonald's. Do you know how much money McDonald's franchise owners make? Or don't allow, I'm going to keep saying this over and over because this is my thing. I hate when I see someone, I call them dream stealers. Don't allow anybody to judge what you want to do as long as it's not a sin. I got to say that sometimes, I'm not talking about, opening strip joints from here to the coast, okay? Or one coast to the other. No, I'm talking, let's keep it clean, guys. Don't allow anybody to steal your dream at all. If they can't support your dream, then don't talk to them anymore. You can't even share your dream with everyone that you meet. You have to be selective unless you're strong enough to know, okay, you're not stealing my dream. You can talk all you want, go over there, but you're not stealing my dream. Unless you're strong enough to do that, you can't share your dream with everyone. And then when you do share it, be careful who you listen to. I'm going to go back to the comment made earlier. Do they have the results you want in your life? Are they always broke? Always asking you for money? Always looking for a ride? Don't know what they're going to... Why are you listening to those? Why are you listening to them? They have nothing to contribute. Go find someone else. Zach was talking about, go find your family. Doesn't have to be blood related. And some of us have some great family members who are in our family who would be happy to support, who have the kind of results in their life that you can aspire to. And that's a good scenario. But I'm not talking about the ones that know everything that have no fruit in their lives. Don't listen. Just wave like this. Love you, but I don't think I'll listen to you on that one. Get upset over there, and then just tune it out, walk away in love, and be good to go.
That's right. And from our friend Doug Bynum, keep dreaming and take action. Small steps every day, and you will go miles in just a few years. Beautiful, beautiful.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And if anybody wants to hear the great story of what Leslie has done, I encourage you to please call her. Leslie, how do people get a hold of you, my dear?
You can find me at my website. It's lesliebradshaw.com. Simple, easy, right? Or you get me quicker if you contact me through social media. So Leslie Bradshaw on Facebook, or at Leslie Bradshaw LC on Instagram, and Leslie Bradshaw on
LinkedIn.
Oh my God, LinkedIn. Yeah. It's like, what's the other one?
LinkedIn is a really great place to be able to get a hold of either one of these ladies. Sabrina, how do they get a hold of you?
You can reach out to me on TikTok, the Lifestyle Promoter. You can reach out to me on Instagram at SDTravel1, and then LinkedIn as well, the Lifestyle Promoter. And I'm starting my own hashtag, the Lifestyle Promoter, so you should be able to find me that way as well.
Well, I again, thank you both so much for doing this. The first part of this show was very difficult, and I knew that if I was going to talk to two people about it, I knew who I wanted to talk to. And maybe one of these days we can find a way to convince somebody to do a show together.
We hear you, Zach. We hear you.
You're listening.
But hey, everybody, my name is Zach Clayton. I started Community Pay It Forward just to try to help people in difficult situations. Sabrina and Leslie are two of my dearest friends, and they're two of my greatest partners. So all you got to do is contact them. When you utilize their service, when you buy Sabrina's books, if you buy it from us, a portion goes to help other people. We're here to help other people. We're here to support ourselves and others. Why don't you come join us sometime? And the best way to do that is allow us to tell your story. Really quickly, I want to once again thank Sabrina Morris, and I want to thank you, Leslie. One of the other ways that you can get a hold of Leslie is very simply by going to Community Pay It Forward. You can learn more about her, and if you use this link right there in the comments, you'll find this beautiful woman, and you can make an appointment to talk to her. Leslie, thank you so much for making this show resounding success, and I appreciate it. Please, once again, who are the people you're looking for to try to help?
Women who feel like they're a little bit stuck in their life and they're not sure why, and they want to move forward, but they don't know what the next step is that they should take.
Well, the thing is, you're such a wonderful person, and again, we're here to try to see get you the best success and help people along the way. I thank you so much for being part of my life, part of my program, and I cannot wait until the next time that we talk. So thank you very much. Folks, my name is Zach Clayton. I'm the founder of Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and now the host of Community IMpACT, along with PACT, Podcasting for All Coming Together. We ask you to join us every Friday at 1 p.m. And then join us right here, where you're watching us again in 1 hour for the Rev. Sean, I'm the producer of this show, and I'm going to tell you something. You hear Rev, you're like going, oh my God, this guy's going to be stuffy. He's going to be tough. He's a paranormal Rev. All right. A lot of fun, a lot of great times. If you're into the paranormal, if you're into the spooky, if you're into the different, you want to join us in 1 hour. Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 3 Mountain. We have a great time. He's a great dear friend of mine, and I hope you join us. Leslie, thank you again. Please go to communitypayitforward.us/Leslie-Bradshaw, and you'll find her story, and you can hire her. Women, please reach out when you have a problem. Leslie knows what she's talking about. She's been through a lot. She's fought through a lot, and she can help you do the same. Please remember to love somebody out there, because somebody out here loves you. Please remember, no one ever has to go it alone when we all come together. Thank you very much for your time. We'll see you next week. Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you. Bye bye.